Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats, and we've been going live to help families get the information they need to keep their kids learning during the pandemic, and we're trying to feature excellent schools in San Antonio, what programs they're doing to help kids be prepared for the future. So February is actually Career and Technical Education Month, and that prompted me to reach out to our friends at Castech. And what they've shared with me was that a really important thing they do to get kids ready for careers is mentorship. And so today we have two people who are kind of on different sides of mentorship. So we have Jason Salazar, who's a senior at Castech High School, and he is being mentored while he's a student at Castech. And then we also have Katie Chain, who's an education and workforce program manager at HEB, which, if you're not from Texas, that's an awesome grocery chain that's based here in San Antonio and has been saving everybody from the winter storm that just came through. So thank you, HEB, and thank you, Katie. So Katie, her role at HEB is that she supervises a group of partners, which are HEB employees who serve as mentors to students. And so thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jason, for being on Charter Moms Chats, and I'm really excited about this conversation.
Rick, I'm totally glad to be here. This is very exciting for us to be able to share information about mentorships and about the CAST network. So I'm very excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me too. I think that we do a lot of cool things, and I think it'd be awesome to share the ideas so other people can be inspired, or they can, come on over.
Yeah. Oh, and our audience. Oh, April says hi. She says welcome. So that's one of the fun things about StreamYard is we get to share stuff from our audience too. So, okay. So, my first question is for Katie. I wanted to ask you, so what are some of your favorite things about your role as a program manager at HEB, and especially as it relates to mentorship?
Well, I've been with HEB for going on 23 years. So I've been able to do a lot of things with the company, but by far the job I have today is the most exciting. The most exciting part of it is that I get to work with the youth, right? I get to help kind of mold their future and give them information that maybe they're not getting from anywhere else. And so, mentorships is really just a part of our culture at HEB, but we were lucky enough to be a part of the CAST network from the time it was just a vision on a piece of paper, drawn on Kate Rogers' desk, and the vision from Charles Butt, to today where we're 5-6 schools strong and moving forward. But mentorships is really part of our culture. We participate in a lot of mentorships across the city and beyond, but by far the CAST network mentorship program is the strongest one that we have. We have 20 plus partners at HEB, employees at HEB that are specifically mentoring students at Castech and the other locations. And so it's been fantastic, and we just love doing the work.
That's wonderful. And what a great way for HEB partners to give back to the community. They're sharing their expertise, and it takes their time, but I'm sure it's very meaningful for them. So, okay. So my next question is for Jason. So one thing that I've learned since I've toured Castech, and we've written an enrollment guide about CAST schools. And so that's on the sachartermoms.com blog. I also want to mention that in the description of the video, there's a link to a guest post that Katie wrote for our blog about mentorship. And so I want to encourage everybody who's watching the video to also click through and be sure to read Katie's post, because it's really inspiring. So, but Jason, I want to ask you, so what is your pathway at Castech? Because that's one of the cool things, is that students get to kind of start to specialize a little bit on the things that they're most excited about for their careers.
Yeah, so your freshman year, you kind of dabble around in the 3 different ones. You have business, UX and UI, and you have computer science. I lean more towards computer science pathway, focused on more of informational technology, more of like system administration work, like automating the different tasks that a sysadmin does, and all of the different things that go on in that world.
So is there a favorite thing about it? I guess, well, I think one thing that you mentioned before we went on air was that at Castech, students are getting skills that they can use right away. So it's not just preparing you for maybe majoring in that discipline at a 4-year university, but like you're actually already getting certifications and things you can use in the real world.
Yeah, so the top skills for any IT job is really Linux. So that's one of as you go through the different pathways, that have the different courses. You have principles of informational technology, you have principles of cybersecurity, and the curriculum that's behind that is Test Out, which is it's accredited not only for schools that use it around the nation, but also for businesses. They accept it too, that it shows that you are not only do you know how to use it, but Test Out is scenario based. So it's not flashcards that you're memorizing and you're taking quizzes. It's actually like objectives that you have to do. And then you actually have to play out the scenario in the labs. So those different type of labs, they give you actual applicable and marketable skills right outside of high school.
Yeah, and I want to jump in on that for just a minute, Jason, because I think that's important to talk about certifications and things like that. And from the get-go, right when they began to create Cass Tech, which was the first Cass school that we opened, there were advisory board members that were involved from the fruition, right? From the very beginning. You had people from USAA, Jungle Disc, of course, HEB, different organizations that were involved, and they were able to give input on, okay, what are viable certifications that students can earn that will help them get a job, maybe right out of high school, right? And so maybe they don't want, maybe a 4-year is not for them, maybe it's a 2-year certification or it's something like that they're interested in based on a lot of different things. You know, every student has a different path, but our CIO, Gavin Gallagher, was able to give input on, okay, what are certifications that HEB looks for when we're hiring a cybersecurity expert or a UX designer or a programmer, software developer? You know, what certifications are really viable and what's going to stand out on a resume? And so all of these different companies across the city were able to give that input and really put those into the curriculum. And, you know, even help sometimes with funding of making sure the students are getting what they need and things like that. But the collaboration with the Cass network compared to other schools that I'm familiar with is just far and beyond what it could be. And just knowing the industry is coming to the table and saying, hey, if you teach these students this, if these students get this certification, they will be a viable candidate to come to our company when they complete their high school education.
Yeah, and that's the whole, that you have to have those conversations with a board made up of different student perspectives, industry perspectives, professional from the faculty of the school perspective, in order to have and create that type of pipeline from school to industry. Because technology is one of the industries where you don't need 40 years of experience to get a job, because the technology changes so rapidly that you always have to maintain it. And schools want that guidance and kind of need that guidance because they're a school, they're not a business. You know what I mean? So the business knows, okay, when I'm looking for new hires, I'm looking for these type of skills. This is the baseline. And then the teachers can say, well, okay, well, I can do this and that. And then they go from there.
Yeah, and when you look at a CTE, a Career and Technical Education Advisory Board in a school district, right, they have to meet twice a year. That's by Texas standards, Texas education standards, right? The advisory boards have to meet twice a year to talk about what's going on in CTE education. But the Cass Network takes it a step further, and they meet monthly. Sometimes, you know, when they're building new programs, they may meet every 2 weeks. And then they continue to meet. So we're about to graduate our first set of seniors at Cass Tech. And I can tell you that the advisory board from the get-go has been very active. And like you said, technology changes all the time. So what was viable 4 years ago when Jason was a freshman may have changed now. Yep. And so being able to get that constant input in the ever-changing world of technology is so important. And the advisory board is so strong at these schools that we're able to give that input and the school listens, right? And makes changes based on, you know, what industry is saying. So I think those are important things to know about the network.
I remember, so Amir, he says hi, he's clapping for you guys. So Amir helped me tour Cass Tech before the pandemic. And I remember when I was talking to I'm blanking on his name, but the teacher who teaches computer science and Linux and things like that, like I was super impressed. You know, like a lot of schools teach a lot of Windows-based things, but that's not what people in the industry are using, right? So it may be harder to find materials to cover Linux, but it's really essential if that's where industry is at.
Yeah, because if you look at like all the top Fortune 500 companies, they all run some type of Linux for their servers. So the people that they're hiring to work on those servers are not your Windows servers guys, they're Linux server guys. And a lot of times you have skills that you're learning in school or maybe in college or maybe during something else that is totally non-applicable to jobs, and that's what's so crucial about having a board that's made up of those actual like real-time industry folks, because they can bring that advice.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
remember
it's
asking.
important I'm so sorry, Inga. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, I remember one of the questions I asked was about cloud computing, because that's sort of a trend I think they're going in, and he was already aware of that and thinking about how to incorporate cloud computing. So, which like that's very responsive.
Yeah, most of our anything we use, it's all based off the cloud. Like when we use any type of like a phone call, it's made over OpenStack, which is on a Red Hat server. That's doing all the different communications between the different phones. It changes so much that that something like Linux that's made for security and customability. I think I butchered that, but yeah, it's made for that. It's made for technology, which is always evolving, and you're just going to see more of it. And actually, Windows is now supporting the actual infrastructure for Linux because so many people have asked for it.
Yeah, Jason is speaking Spanish. Like I have no idea what he's saying. So. One thing I really want to mention is that, like Amir, you had mentioned that Amir gave you a tour of Cast Tech. Well, another important thing to know is the Cast Network in every one of their schools has a program coordinator or someone who is out there constantly connecting with industry, constantly looking for mentors for their students and internship opportunities. And so every school has someone like that. And I can tell you that Amir knows every student's name that he's working with. He knows exactly what they're trying to do. He knows he knows what connections to help them make. And so that's just super important to know that these mentor coordinators and their mentor coordinators, program coordinators, their industry connection, whatever their title is, could be all of the above, are really working hard to make sure these students are getting the connections they need.
Yeah, because that's something that it's so crucial to have that, because teachers are busy teaching and faculty is busy supervising and different things like that. And it's important to have, like, you have that one person that's their sole job, is being the liaison between industry and school and students and everything in between. And it's awesome because that is really where you get like the job shadowing opportunities, because whenever he goes out to networking events and he meets with people, and that's just how it works,
Yeah. I wanted to ask Jason about like your experience. So since you're on the sort of the computer science track, and how have your mentorship experiences as a Cast Tech student influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, it really helps you think of things through a different perspective. I kind of was like, I've had different types of mentors. I've had like one that was like focused on building your personal interpersonal skills and really being able to communicate effectively on a team and really orchestrate different skill sets and different things like that. But I've also, like my current one, Selena Horn from Joe's Contracting, I'm on a mentor pod, and one thing that we focus on is, what do you value? Because everyone values something different, and it all makes up the different roles that we play on the teams and that we contribute to. And it really helps you think of like not just what you're doing now, but what are you working towards, like in the grand scheme of things. And that is what makes you, that's what makes today's agenda, is what are you focused on for later. So it kind of helps you really think about like after high school and during high school. And it's really important because it's someone that, like, they come, well, prior to COVID, they brought lunch, we sat down, and they just listened to you. It was just someone that like listened to your different ideas, and it was someone that you could, pick their brain and they could pick your brain. And it was just cool to toss ideas around like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Katie, have you visited with Cast students? And
I mean, I've been involved since the building was being built.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've connected with so many students. I can tell you the very first year that Cast opened, I went to, they had like a networking event where industry partners could come in and just kind of network with the students. And one of the students, which is a friend of Jason's, actually walked up to me and handed me a business card. And this business card was fantastic. And he didn't have a job, but he put on there a student at Cast Tech. He put on his program, his UX design is what he was going for. He put on his little business card, his certification that he had. I mean, it was like Better than my business card, right? And I've been around a long time. And so, it's things like that these students are learning that really help them stand out. It's like your elevator speech, right? You've got 5 minutes or 30 seconds with someone in an elevator. What are you gonna do? Well, hand them a business card. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be like, this kid is like 15, 16, and he has a business card. So they're learning little things like that mentors and industry are able to share with them that they wouldn't have thought of, right? I have a 19 and a 20-year-old, both of them are in college studying majorly different things. But, just the little things that I can teach them, of course, they don't listen to their mother. But I always tell other people, hey, can you tell my kid this? Because he feel like listen to you. Even though I've been a corporate recruiter for 6 years, he's not going to listen to me talk about interviewing skills. Can you please tell him? But it's really cool because when we go in, the kids really listen and they want to learn and they want our feedback and they want to be helped, right? Mm-hmm. And so that always even makes it better when a student is eager to listen to you and learn from you and they kind of build their own plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Katie, I mentioned that in the video, we've got a link to the blog post, the guest post that you wrote. And there was a part of that really touched me. You talked about, I guess this is going back a couple of years, but there was a young HEB partner who you spoke to, and it made a difference in his life, right? Of like, as far as, having a sense of dedication and, like Jason mentioned, like talking to a mentor helps you expand your time horizon and think about, what you want to do, not just next year, but beyond that. So I don't know, can you kind of share about, that story that you mentioned in the blog post?
And I think it's important to know that where it comes from me, from my heart, and so many people at HEB is like, when I was growing up, I didn't have an adult in my life to really help guide me, right? They didn't talk about college in my house. They didn't talk about careers, it was a job. And so where I grew up and where a lot of students grow up is they could grow up in an atmosphere where their parents aren't professionals, right? So to speak, which every job is valuable. We all know that. But like for Jason, he wanted to go into computer science, but if neither one of his parents had experience in the computer science world, they don't know how to guide Jason, right? And they don't know what they don't know. So to be able to go to a school that specializes in that, I think is fantastic. So years back, when I was a corporate recruiter for HEB, I did that job for 6 years. A lot of my job, obviously it's kind of fill jobs for HEB, but a big part of my job was when I would see HEB partners apply for jobs that they weren't qualified for, instead of just no-going them or sending them an email, I would reach out and say, hey, I see you applied for this job, but you're not really qualified. What are you really looking to do? And start those conversations. And that helped kind of fill my bucket in a corporate recruiting role. But there was one gentleman in particular, his name is Jeremy, and he was a partner at our store at Evans and 281 at the old store before we built our new location. And I knew he was a great kid because I knew his parents, and his parents were phenomenal. But he would come to work every day looking like he rolled out of bed with a wrinkled shirt on, right? He wouldn't shave. He looked like he hadn't shaved in like a week when I met with him. And his dad, I said, hey, can you sit down and talk to Jeremy for me? And I'm like, sure, I'd love to. So I go in and I meet with him and we're sitting there, we're having a conversation, and he's, kind of like this in his chair and, just kind of like blowing me off almost, right? Like, why are you here? My dad told you to talk to me. So I finally just said, look, you look like crap. You look like you rolled out of bed and came to work. When's the last time you shaved? Like, do you have a shirt that's not wrinkled? And, I could talk like to him that because I knew his dad, right? I knew his dad wasn't going to call HR, right? But, I think it's so important to give these kids this feedback. And Jeremy's smart guy. I knew he had a bright future, but he just wasn't listening to his parents. He wasn't listening to anything else. And he was working in our bookkeeping department. And he wasn't considering a career with HEB. He just thought he was going to go to work, do his part, go to community college, kind of take it easy. And after him and I had our first conversation, I really kind of socked it to him, so to speak, and gave him some very tough feedback that I think some kids need, right? It started him thinking. And so he reached out to me again, and we kind of developed this friendship, mentorship, where we would talk, and if he was going to apply for a certain job, he would reach out to me, or if he needed help with his resume, he would reach out to me. And so now, this is 8 years later, Jeremy's finished. He's gotten his degree. He's gotten married. He has twin daughters. He's a top store leader at HEB, probably making $150,000 to $200,000 a year. But he just needed that nudge. He needed that tough love. He needed that conversation, and he needed a friend to tell him, right? We built a friendship. It wasn't just about me busting him. It was about me saying, I care about you, and I want to help you. Let me help you. listen to me, listen to your father, and let's get through this together, and you can have a great career. And I have conversations that, all of them don't develop into great friendships. I mean, some mentorships don't go that far, but the important thing is that they have these adults. And I can tell you that everyone at HEB that has opted in, we have 20 mentors currently mentoring students at Cass Tech, and they've probably got 2 to 3 students each. They really truly care about these students. And it's not just about where do you want to go when you graduate. It's also about, how's your home life? Is there anything going, how can we help you with this? Do you have someone to help you with a college application? Do you need a part-time job? How can we connect you with someone at HEB? Or, maybe we don't have a job for you. Maybe you want to be a veterinarian and we don't hire veterinarians, but how can we connect you with a veterinarian in San Antonio that can then give you the advice? We're all about just doing what's right for the student, not just for HEB, but for this child. You want them to choose a career and a job that benefits them and that they can be happy in. So I don't know. I probably said way too much, and if Jeremy knew what I was talking about, you kill me. But
no, that resonates with me. So I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old, and so I'm thinking more and more about high school and the teenage years and things like that. And I think a theme that I think keeps popping up is that there's things that we as parents can't do. We need an ally, right? We need like teachers, we need mentors, we need other adults who are looking out for our kids and who are bringing their expertise because. So my husband works in computer science, but even 10 years ago, they didn't use the cloud, right? And now everything's in the cloud. So, so things are always changing. And when I went to college, it was so different than how it is now. So, we can't just rely on, what we know or, how it was back then. Like the world keeps changing. And sometimes our kids don't want to hear it from us. It doesn't have the same validity. Or it's too hurtful to hear it from your own parent, right? Maybe you need someone else to tell them to work on their hygiene or something, right? That's real life. Let's see. Oh, did Katie freeze for just a sec? Okay, I'm going to go to Jason. Jason, I wanted to ask you about, so you mentioned a couple different mentors, one who kind of helps you build personal skills, teamwork, things like that. And then another mentor, I said at Juris, right, which is a construction company, right, and talking about more long range planning and values and things. So can you think of a mentorship relationship or mentorship experience that has changed how you think about your future or changed your plans?
Yeah, and I would go even a step further and say that mentor that really made that pivotal moment or that pivotal shift for me at least. I actually found in an internship, and he was the person that helped me go from a marketing position into the finance team, later into an analytics team, and it was him that kind of helped me think about what is it that fascinates me about computers, and it wasn't necessarily the programming thing. It was the fact that we can enhance our human ability tenfold by using this computer, and you use it in any way you want. And that opened up it gave me a different perspective to kind of see what else is out there.
Welcome back, Katie.
Technology, let me tell you.
Wow.
That's right. It's it doesn't even faze me anymore. It's all good. So welcome back. Jason was just talking about an internship experience that helped him think about computer science in a different way, about how computers are these amplifiers that they make humans be able to do so much more in the world, right? Is that?
Well, Jason had lots of options too, because I've been trying to recruit him for 4 years, and he keeps telling me no. I will tell you that these students have options. I mean, really, just based on what they're learning. So, I mean, he's smarter than some of the people I work with. I mean, no offense.
The mentor that I found through that internship was the same person that kind of helped me think about, well, what is it that you kind of want out of your next position, or what is it that you want? Because it's not necessarily the role that you're chasing or the paycheck that you're chasing, or at least for me, it's not. It's the amount of impact that I can make at that company. So at a company as big as HEB, that I can't make as big of an impact as a smaller or mid-sized company. And that's kind of what brings fulfillment to me more than any paycheck or more than any timestamp or anything like that. is helping small or mid-sized businesses grow or do something that they never even thought of, or using enterprise level software, that something that like HEB would use for a way smaller company. And that just comes with like talking to different people and seeing different things and trying different things. Because to be honest, like I came into Cast Tech and I didn't even know what an operating system was. Like, and it was just like whatever I kind of was like, oh, that's cool. And I joined Cyber Patriot and I learned system security, and I learned about all the different things that happen in there. And then that leads me to other different things after that. You don't know what's in the door until you open it, really.
Well, and two, I think that's important because a lot of the instructors or the teachers at CATS come from industry. So they've been out there. They've seen a lot of it. They have connections in so many different companies, and they're able to bring that to the classroom and to the students. And so, I mean, I think that's just a huge asset, is when you bring an instructor in that, you know, is a fabulous teacher, but also has all these industry connections that they can share with their students.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really the wisdom and the insight that they bring to you that you don't even think about. And it's totally different because they're in a teaching role, but they've seen, like, they've been in those teams. And you know, the technology changes, but what doesn't is us. We as people do not change. We all you know, carry habits, and we carry different things and traits that we bring to the table, and you learn to work with them. And it's really nice to have teachers that know about the field that they're teaching.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I had want to ask Katie is kind of from the industry perspective. So you've I mean, companies like HEB are just growing all the time, and the other companies you mentioned that helped in the creation of the CAF Schools network, right? Like USAA or Jungle Disc, right? These are, you know, and they want to hire students who are, you know, skilled in fields, whether it's technology or right hospitality, or, you know, there's so many specializations across the CAF Schools network. So, but like from the perspective of, you know, someone who's worked in corporate recruiting, like, what does it mean to you that CAF Schools is creating students who have, you know, these experiences and this sense of their own destiny, and you know, like they're ready to go to work and you know, start making a difference?
Well, you know, I will tell you the benefits of HEB being so involved in this school and schools like the CAS network is that we get to identify talent early. So like when I met some of these kids as freshmen, you could see it. And then some of them I met as freshmen, maybe they weren't there yet, but then I reconnect with them when they're, you know, sophomores or juniors or seniors, and you can really see it blossom. And so us being able to connect with these students early and share HEB stories with them and HEB careers with them is vital to the growth of our company and our pipeline. Because a student, an everyday student that is in high school, thinks HEB is retail, right? We bag groceries, we sell groceries, right? We're in the stores, but they have no idea that we have 130,000 people that work for our company. And our IT digital team is probably 3,000 strong. You know, goes into the Austin area. We have an Eastside Tech Hub in Austin, which is fantastic. It puts the old Rackspace to shame if you were to see this office. I mean, this building is amazing. And then, you know, just our downtown facilities and all the careers that we offer, students just don't know. So us getting involved, it's a selfish thing, half of it, because we just get to find talent early and we get them to drink the Kool-Aid. So they want to come work for HEB. I mean, quite honestly, you know, but I think,
well, that's, well, I hope that there are audience for SHR moms. A lot of it is families. It's mostly moms, it's mostly women, but you know, like there are a lot of the ones making decisions. It's also some teenagers, but also I hope that businesses are watching this as well, and that they should reach out to Amir, right, or his colleagues at the other CAS Schools campuses, because you know, like Amir and his colleagues are always looking for industry partners to serve as mentors, right? And they've got lots of different, and Amir explained it to me, like some commitments are more time consuming and some are more like lightweight, where you just come and visit. So, but I encourage any businesses watching this video to, like, you know, think about ways that your employees can serve as mentors, because it's, you know, these schools are growing and, you know, the students need support from more industry partners. But, you know, kudos to HEB for being in there on the ground floor.
Well, and CAS makes it so easy. They provide mentor training. So if you've never mentored before, they have a whole thing to train you and to teach you kind of what to say, what you can say, what you can't say, what are all the legalities, you know, because that's always sticky, right? But just helping you get questions out there to the mentors to kind of help you make it, to the mentees to help you make that connection. And then if you make a connection and it's not great, they can switch it up and say, okay, Jason, you didn't really get along with Katie very well. Let's get you with Inga, or let's get you with somebody else. It's not the case, of course, Jason, but it could have been, you never know. But, they have the ability to do that, to teach mentors and to train them. So you don't have to be scared. And the commitment is very small. It's like an hour and a half once a month to meet with these kids and share your story with them and get to know them. And then sometimes, there's occasional when you meet with them more and you talk to them more. And when it's virtual, it makes it even so much easier because you don't have to leave your store or your place of work and go there. You can connect, via Skype or Skype's old, right? Zoom or whatever. Technology is always changing, right? Gosh, I wish I would have invested in Zoom years ago, man. We'd all be rich now. But the point is that, you can connect so easy with these students and really just make those connections. And so, yeah, I encourage any industry partner out there or any charter mom that is also a professional that wants to mentor kids. I mean, gosh, we all bring something to the table. Everybody brings something. We just have to figure that out. What does that look like and how can you help?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I always close out the interviews with the call to action. So, which is going to be like how to get more information about CAS schools. But before we get to that, I want to ask each of you for sort of closing thoughts about mentorship and like how it's impacted you and how you think it's changing the world. And so, yeah, just thoughts about mentorship.
I think that the biggest change that it's bringing is and Katie touched on this, it's giving students like myself that have never even thought of these type of careers, these professional careers, the idea that they could have that in their future. That is the core of what almost every mentorship brings. It brings that light to something that you don't even know. You really are oblivious to because maybe you're at home and you're not surrounded by that professional environment, but you go to a school that's really what the focus is. And then you meet with someone that is that professional and it's not like you're having a professional conversation with them. It's a casual, regular, just getting to know them, talking to them, letting them, let them listen to you, and you listen to them too. Like that's the beauty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's really just about making those right connections, right? Getting the right people together, like making those connections and having those very important conversations. And, for me, I love meeting students. The team that I work with, the mentors that are mentoring students, not only with, CAST, but also with Code to College or with, communities in schools or, all the people at HEB that are mentoring out there, it kind of helps them help other people and help students kind of figure things out and find their way, especially the ones that don't have that at home. And, mentorships, I honestly think it's a gem. It's something that CAST does well. They have the right connections. They know how to make it work. I think a lot of schools try to do it, but they don't quite know, or they don't get it right. But CAST truly has gotten it right. And so much that we're going to continue to grow our mentorships and more people and to, help bring other industry partners to the table. You've got Toyota, you've got Navistar coming to San Antonio, you've got so many different groups. And because they're connected with the county, they know these different industries coming. So how can we recruit more people to help these students? And it's just been, it's been fantastic for me. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. And anytime I can get somebody's ear and talk to them about, hey, how about giving back? Lots of ways to do that, but mentorships is one of them. I definitely do that. And the CAS Schools is also taking applications right now. So whether your student wants to go in to be, a doctor or a nurse or medical technology or e-commerce, right? Or an engineer, an architect, new energy, all of these schools are focused on high demand careers across our area. So gosh, check them all out. They're all fantastic. They've got great teachers. The principals are handpicked. They're just really great people that care.
Yeah. So, Jason, what's your sales pitch to like teenagers or their families who are thinking about, gee, maybe I should apply to CAS schools? So, Eddie told me to be sure to mention that that CAS schools are still taking applications. So even though like the first application window closed, it's not too late. They're still taking applications. So, but Jason, what's your pitch?
I would say this: quit thinking about it and do it, because it's a lot. You don't even know if you're going to get it. So, put your name in the hat and see if your name's called. And then once your name's called, then make the decision. But you don't know if you try. So I would say,
yeah. And the applications they're really short. So like nobody should feel intimidated by it. It's quick, it's free. Yeah. Okay, Jason says just do it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing stories about being a mentor, coordinating mentors, being mentored, and the great stuff happening at CAS schools. I'm just really impressed with all the different pathways and the different experiences that students are having, and it makes me optimistic for the workforce in San Antonio for the future.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great day. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.